Hartigan is going to see Sean Keighran's design in carrot mines that was commissioned by the McEntees.
The idea of planning a whole garden is just, it's overwhelming really. It wasn't very inviting the way it was, even though it's south facing and very sunny. When we went in and we saw the work that Sean had done, he had some photographs and things done, and I liked the work that was there. Yeah.
Well, when I first arrived, the house itself had just been completed, and the garden was just left like any normal new house. It was a small bit of grass down, and it had these terribly hard breeze block walls that were just bare without plaster. So when I met Sheila and Patrick, they really weren't gardeners, and they wanted something with a little bit of difference, something to reflect the quality of the house that they had made and their personality.
Sheila's much better at visualising it. Even looking at the plans, I couldn't read it. I was more keeping an eye on the budgets rather than anything else.
Of course.
Drastic changes called for drastic measures. A lot of structural work needed to be done. The existing utility room turned into an office for Patrick, and different levels create new dimensions that make the garden look bigger.
Yeah, there were some days where you kind of said, oh my God, I just can't cope with anymore. I'm tired of making tea, and I'm tired of biscuits and builders and men around the place. And then other days he came back and said, oh, this is going to be just terrific, Towards the end, when I could see it actually taking shape. But when you do have wheelbarrows and cement mixers and things around the place, and that it's hard going,
After 6 weeks of building walls, plastering and heavy work, the new garden room began to emerge. To make impact and hold your interest within the garden, Sean has commissioned the use of lots of materials used in unusual ways.
It's a bit of a sculpture, and it's also going to be a light. It'll be lit from the back. They're cast out of molten glass, so we have a furnace where we melt the glass and then actually physically pour the glass out of the furnace into a mold, and then we press images or shapes into the actual glass to get different textures.
Oh, and that's how you got the texture.
That's right, yeah.
They're simple, but it's lovely. It's very effective.
Sean's use of plants is interesting, but is it practical?
Just here, Dave. Is that okay?
One plant of each of the posts.
Right.
I specialise in growing these varieties that are good for cool climates like ours. Okay.
So they'll have grapes for years and years to come.
Well, let's hope so.
A dead space with a garden shed has been changed by creating a living screen with these vines. When they establish and climb up and over, they'll make a lovely canopy and hopefully give a good harvest.
One of the things I really wanted to get through here was to create a modern garden that was actually warm. And I've done this through the means of using timber, the slate and the stainless steel, but just warming them and giving them some sort of life. In the space we tried to create depth and movement that would just give this idea that the garden is much bigger than it actually is. I think we achieved that. The planting is a very important part of this type of garden. Like, there are a lot of hard surfaces here, and we really had to get some strong foliage plants that would really emphasise the actual strong lines within the garden.
A sheet of glass covered by a sheet of water is simple but effective.
We just added this small little feature into the lawn, just so that it would add a little bit of visual interest. As you, well, one could say it was contemporary. It was just like when I was drawing it, it just sort of fitted in nicely, and here it is. The wooden sculpture that we used has very strong form and, again, movement, which I was trying to get using within the container of the stainless steel, and it's reinforced by its size, and it's to internalise the whole views within the garden.
This is what I find about the garden. There's so many different dimensions. It's exciting. It's lovely. It's just such a change. First of all, I couldn't visualise anything like this. Second of all, I couldn't execute it. There is no way.
No, I don't think I wouldn't have been brave.
I have to say, I think the whole experience has been really worthwhile, and the old question is, would you do it again? I hope we wouldn't have to, but I certainly would have no qualms in doing it again if we got the same outcome.